Hello and welcome to this hands-on lab workshop where I and a few others are going to walk you through how to pick out a great wine using Oracle machine learning. So hope you enjoy this, hope you drink wine. And while we get set up here, you can please click on the link in the chat window to sign up for your free cloud-free tier account so you can get going. We also have the green button, which launches everything, has it all set up for you. And you can enter questions for the speakers. I'm being aided by a few very talented people here with me today. And we'll try to walk you through this whole session and get you to pick out a good bottle of wine using the Oracle Autonomous Database, the embedded Oracle machine learning that comes with that, and the Oracle Analytics Cloud that all sort of work together in a very harmonious way. So let's get on with this and dive into the workshop, and hopefully everyone is logging in and getting going. So the challenge today is to pick out a good wine, but a wine that's less than $30. So maybe even the lesser, the better, right? We're going to use the Autonomous Data Warehouse, Oracle Machine Learning, and Oracle Analytics Cloud. Hi, I guess as I said, my name is Charlie Berger. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management for Machine Learning, AI, and Cognitive Analytics at Oracle, and you can follow up with me if you want using the email or the Twitter feeds that are there. And the way that we do this at Oracle with machine learning is we move the algorithms, not the data. So we made a strategic decision, decades ago, actually 2 decades ago, to not take the data out of the database like pretty much everyone does today. We decided it made a lot more sense that people have data. That's what they use the algorithms on. Either you move the algorithms or you move the data. We thought it made a lot more sense to move the algorithms. They're small, they're lightweight. Just teach the data management platform how to do math. And that's what we've been doing for a number of years now. And now that has become another differentiating feature, this ever converged database. And now we can use that to pick out a good bottle of wine. And we can use some text mining, classification, regression, some of the many, many techniques that we have. And then because of the tight integration with Oracle Analytics Cloud, we can actually just continue right on very seamlessly right into OAC and use that for a very nice interactive dashboard. So we'll try and do that and have you doing that during this hands-on lab today. With me today, I have some very talented co-panelists and co-instructors that are here with me. So I'm at the top left, of course. Anusha Pillai is product manager for the database. Anusha has done a lot of the work to set up this whole hands-on lab environment and get it all working perfectly, and has added just amazing things to this to make it easy and good for you. Sadesh on the lower left is someone I've worked with for a couple of years now, at least, working on a few of these type of more intricate demos showing off the capabilities of Oracle machine learning for a few different things. And I've worked with Sadesh, and also another person I should acknowledge, Devani Sheth, who also worked with us. She's not able to make it today, but Devani Sheth's fingerprints are all over this wine demo use case that we did. And then Didi Han is a database product manager intern. So he's been around with us just for a short period of time and has had a great impact on everything we're doing here. He's had a lot of work with Anusha putting together this live lab, and he has by far the best photograph of all of us here. So many, good on Didi for having the best photo here. The use case is going to be picking out a good, inexpensive wine. What we're going to do is show off in a very, hopefully, relatable use case how we can mine this data, and we're going to combine both structured and unstructured data. So we're actually borrowing some data from Kaggle. There's some Kaggle data out there that we're going to temporarily use here. It's 130,000 reviews of wine, and we're going to walk the user through a problem where they pick out a good, inexpensive wine based on both the structured data, the price, the number of points the wine has, the variety, maybe the country of origin, a bunch of data about the wine, but also a bunch of wine reviews. And we don't have wine reviews on every wine because Wine Spectator and different people like that don't review every wine, but we're going to try and use the data that we have, including the reviews, to make intelligent predictions about wine bottles that are unreviewed, unlabeled. They don't have a rating. You can't say I have a 93-point bottle of Cabernet, please. It's an unlabeled bottle, and it's sort of a mix. It's an unknown. So we want to try and use the machine learning predictive model that we're going to build to pick out a good bottle. So the goal is, based on available reviews, select a good wine to bring to a party that is likely to be good and inexpensive. Because as I say here, we've all been there. We're invited to a party. We want to bring something to contribute. a good bottle of wine is always a good option, but which one? There's so many, and we don't want to break the bank for our party gifts. So let's try to use the database, Oracle Machine Learning, Oracle Analytics Cloud, to find a tasty and likely to be rated greater than 90 points bottle of wine that is also affordable. We don't want to break the bank for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to reserve or launch your live lab, and there's the URL for that. Now, when you do this, hopefully you've got in your registration, you've already gotten that. I've set that up in advance just to sort of show you how this goes. And in fact, I timed this just great because look at it, it's got 30 seconds, 29 seconds. When you click on this, it'll take anywhere between 5 to 15 or 20 minutes. I did it about 10 minutes ago. It said it's going to take 10 minutes. So I just started talking and was hoping this thing would wrap up. So here it is. You'll see this thing in a second. But while we wait, let's go back over here because I had more PowerPoint I wanted to kind of walk you through, and then that'll be done, and we'll just come back and click on that. But you want to do this now. You want to click on the Apex Lab 807. So it's the one, where did I have it over here? It's this guy. Well, not right there. It's this one right here. So you want to go in here, you want to reserve the workshop. You want to do exactly what I'm doing here. You want to say the best way to do this is you can go back and you can click on the launch the free trial if you have the free trial. Now that will give you the Oracle Analytics Cloud instance there as well. You can run it under your own tenancy. Anusha and Didi have put together a great job with all the detailed instructions here. And if you want to reserve, just run on the free trial here, then what you're going to get is all the instructions, everything you need to do, getting started. They even have YouTube videos here that kind of tell you what's going on and give the acknowledgments here. Here are the preview video, and there's a blog that I did a long time ago. You see the different people that have had a lot of fingerprints on this. There are others like Devani should be on here somewhere, but you can go in here to register for this. And watch the YouTube videos. I'm going to step you through that because we have the benefit of having a human here to walk you through this stuff. So I'm going to walk you through this stuff now. But when you click on what I'm going to recommend a lot of you do, you can do it different ways. This is, I guess everybody has their own sort of way of doing it. When I submit my reservation, it's going to submit it and it's going to start it running, and it'll send you an email that says, we've submitted it, we're ready to go. And then when it's done, you can come back and click launch workshop, knowing that it's going to take all of you 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to kill some of that time with some PowerPoint here. So bear with me as I cover some other related, but I think necessary points of this whole hands-on lab. So you're going to click on that, submit it now. Hopefully you've done that right now. Click on that LiveLab 807, the picking the wine. We've got a number of great live labs out there these days. Oh, that's actually the wrong screenshot. That's an old screenshot. Predicting auto claim fraud, which is another great one, but I'll have to update that slide apparently. So your live lab is being processed for the picking the wine. It's going to take you just a little while. I launched by the green button, and it often takes, I don't know, 4 to 15 minutes, something like that. And what I'm going to do now is while your systems are booting up, mine's ready to go, and it'll be good for like 3 hours, I think maybe even 4. While it's getting set up in your own environments, when you're going to click on that, which is in the chat window, Anusha and Didi and Sadesh and Holly and everyone have, I think, put that in the chat window. Click on that, launch it, and then come back and try to pay a little attention to what I'm going to cover here. So launch that. It's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes. Now we're going to quickly review some concepts and look at what Oracle Machine Learning is as a product. When the live lab is ready, which is going to be like 5 or 10 minutes later for you, we'll dive into the scenario. We'll review our 130,000 Kaggle wine review records using Oracle Machine Learning. We're going to build some predictive models. Then we're going to analyze the results using Oracle Analytics Cloud over here. And the final, we'll try to pick out a good wine and we'll celebrate. No actual wine will be served or consumed during this, but you can imagine it, you know, and when you're done, maybe you can go home and have an adult beverage of your preference. So let's go over through Oracle Machine Learning real quickly. Oracle Machine Learning is now part of the autonomous database. It's part of every Oracle Enterprise Edition database. You can get it anywhere you want these days. And it is a free feature. It is a no license required, what I consider to be a very differentiating feature for the Oracle database. You have now Oracle graph analysis, network relationships. You have spatial analysis. You have machine learning. You have Oracle Application Express. You have data load, transform. All of these are free features of this ever more capable, what we've been calling affectionately the converged database, because there's so many features that have been converged in this database, and we're going to focus on the machine learning part. Now, realizing that not all of you are necessarily machine learning experts, I thought I'd just briefly touch upon, while we're waiting for things to set up, what is machine learning? Well, it's all about just automatically sifting through large amounts of data to discover hidden patterns, new insights, and make predictions. And if you have historical data that's labeled data, is what we're going to call it, then you're doing something what we would call supervised learning. And supervised learning is going to help you do things like find the most important factors, with, in this case, picking a good wine. And you can guess the answer to that one was price. So you pay a lot, you get a good bottle of wine. The next one is predicting customer behavior, or finding profiles of targeted people. Those are where you have examples, like the little red triangles over here. You have examples of previous records that you've labeled as, these are people that buy a Tesla. These are people that do not buy a Tesla. These are people that get a second mortgage on their house. These are people that default on a loan, and people that don't do those things. If you're trying to predict an actual value or estimate a value like Zillow does for home prices, that's what we call regression. You're trying to figure out a numerical value rather than classify something as A, B, C, or D. If you don't have labeled data, you're trying to do just find natural subgroups of the population. That's what we would call clustering. Or if you're trying to find rare events, you don't have any examples of anomalistic records or so, or people. You just want to run through the data and have the algorithm point out the ones that are the most dissimilar. Or if you're doing finding associations between things, these things and these things we found kind of go together. These are all in the category of what we call unsupervised learning, where there is no target field. So of course, the Oracle database and Oracle machine learning support all these different kinds of techniques, and I'll cover the list of those in a minute. But we're over 30 algorithms these days, so quite a few. The way that we do this inside the database is doing this. We move the algorithms. Now, that algorithm that I'm moving is called the naive Bayes. It was invented in the 1670s, I think it was, by Lord Bayes. And he observed and wrote papers on this that said, basically, if you count things and count the number of times that things happen under certain conditions, you have the basis for a conditional probability model. So if you count the number of times somebody buys a motorcycle, or the bottle of wine is good, and the bottle of wine is over $40, or the bottle of wine is a Cabernet, or it's from France, or on and on and on, you could say probabilistically it's a better bottle of wine, because you look at the ones that you've had in the past, and I'm going to say that those are all indicators for probably a good bottle of wine. If the review includes the words excellent, robust, complex, things like that, those are words that we're going to count, because we're going to use Oracle text to tokenize all those words and count those words. So we're going to do all this counting in a very parallel, scalable way inside the database, because that's what the database does today very, very well. So we're going to count all those things in the database. And we're not going to do just the one algorithm. We're going to have classification, regression. We're going to have statistical techniques, clustering, associations. We're going to expose those algorithms first by their native SQL API, because that's what they are. They are SQL functions inside the database that are just pure, 100% pure functions like any other function inside the database. They're written as C code and exposed by the native SQL API. There's PL SQL that goes through the data preparation and the model building process at certain steps. We also have Auto ML, which now leverages some of the Python orchestration layer to then call the functions inside the database. But we have quite a bit of functionality that at its core is mostly all SQL, but then we also wrap it and expose it and integrate it with open source popular packages like Python and R. So now, as we always say, it takes a village, or it takes a team of people to solve a complex data science machine learning problem, and we try to support all those different user types and profiles. And now the database has become a much smarter database. Maybe it's even a thinking database or an AI database. And if you think of your database as not just being a place to store and manage your data, but a place that can actually think about your data and make predictions and assign probabilities to everything, like what's my checking account balance today? What's my predicted checking account balance today? And what's the probability for that? And what are the reasons why I think that? If you think about that for so many variables that you manage to store and manage inside the database, it really makes it interesting, right? The database could have a lot of additional information added to it through the machine learning. So the machine learning is part of the database. We're moving the algorithms, not the data. As I've said before, depending on if you're using the SQL API, that's called OML for SQL. If you prefer to use R, that's OML for R, and will allow you to sort of use the R language, but we'll do the handshake and push down to where there's an existing equivalent function already embedded inside the database. You can speak the R language for like create a histogram or do a t-test or build a decision tree. You'll use R syntax to drive the in-database decision tree. So there's a lot of functionality that is available here, whether or not you're speaking Python, which operates the same way as R, or the notebooks, or the drag and drop GUI, which we're not going to do today because we're up on the autonomous cloud. But there's a lot of things here, including the new OML services, that's a REST API, and more, with cognitive text and the ability to score Onyx images, and also the OML AutoML user interface, which is the easiest thing since Google, I guess. You click, 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 6 clicks to a good model. We're not going to cover that today. We'll do that in other workshops. Another reason we're not covering that yet today is that that does not yet ingest unstructured data. So we're going to go to the notebooks. The notebooks will be able to handle the unstructured data. In terms of the algorithms and functions that we're using, it's quite a number of them. There's over 30. I stopped counting recently. But under classification, we have 7, 8, or 9 different types. The XGBoost is one of the newest ones we've just added. Under regression, a number of different techniques. We're going to use today, I think we use the logistic regression, random forest, support vector machine, and something else, maybe the naive Bayes or the decision tree. We just stopped with 4. We could have built many more, but they all ingest unstructured data as well. So you see down here the ability to support unstructured data, geospatial data, graph network relationship data. There's a Tesla demo that you're going to have access to pretty soon that adds even more geospatial and graph data. But we're gonna sift through this data. If we wanted to build the models partitioned by country and have different predictive models by country, that's just a group by, partition by, if you will. So all of these algorithms, including the time series, the anomaly detection, the feature extraction, the text mining support, they're all operating 100% inside the database. We're leveraging all the parallelism and all the scalability of the database. We are not running Python or R inside the database. We're running our own stuff inside the database, our own proprietary algorithms that we've developed over the years, and we expose those via SQL, Notebook, drag and drop, Oracle Data Miner, GUI, Python, R, REST APIs, and so on. So that's the beauty of moving the algorithms to the data. With the autonomous database, it comes with, now we're up to 54 example reusable notebooks that come packaged with that. So if you want to do a classification technique, which is what we're doing today, you could just open up that notebook. Now there is some text mining that's going on with that, so you might want to look at the wine demo that we're going to do in a minute. But all these notebooks, you click on them, you highlight them, you say create notebook, and it launches that into your own environment. These are sort of read-only examples that ship with the product to get you a starting point. And we think we've made it so easy that I always like to point this out. If you are an Oracle data professional of some sort and you aspire to add data science skills to your roster of skills, it's pretty easy. I think it's a very, very natural evolution for Oracle data professionals. You already know data extraction. You're already doing the data wrangling. You may even be doing feature engineering where you say, well, I want to take the date of birth and convert it to age. I want to count the number of dropped calls and have the number of dropped calls be another feature that I bring into the prediction as to whether or not they're going to churn or not. So there's only this little part that's usually 80% of the work, right? 80% of the work doing that, and the little part that may be a mystery to you is where this little ML part where the magic happens. But I'll show you how to do that. I think it's getting very, very easy these days. And then afterwards, once you've built the model, you need to import the predictions and insights to somewhere else, or in our case, just leave them right where they are in the database. You can translate and deploy those models to other applications and environments. And the best thing is then just automate the whole process here. So that's what we're going to try and walk you through all of this now in your own environment. And we're going to be following something called the CRISP data mining methodology. We're going to have business understanding, which is going to be, I want to get a good bottle of wine. I have my data understanding, which is a bunch of this Kaggle data we'll walk through. We're not going to do a whole lot of data preparation except for treating the unstructured data, the cloud data. We're going to build 4 or 5 different models. We're going to evaluate the accuracy of those models, and we're going to deploy it by just moving right into Oracle Analytics Cloud. That's what we're going to do here. And this may seem complicated if you talk to a data scientist, because they'll talk about all the stratified sampling, missing values, normalizations, the dealing with the unstructured data, all that. I've dimmed in this graphic all those things that we, with Oracle Machine Learning, try to do in an automated or default way and just simplify this for you. So what we're trying to do is make machine learning powerful as can be, but also, as simple as everything should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. That's what we're trying to do here. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and we'll show you that. One last thing as we kind of wait for everyone's systems to boot up and get ready to go here is the business understanding issue. This is the very first early stage where you say, I need to figure out what I'm trying to do. You can't just say predict employees that leave. You want to have a carefully defined variable that says, I want to, based on past employees that voluntarily left, I want to create a new variable that says employee turnover, yes or no, 0, 1. I don't want to take somebody that quit, somebody that I fired. Well, quit and I don't want them to ever come back. Somebody that I fired, let's say. I don't want to include people that went on maternity or paternity leave. I don't want to, I want to say those people that left, that voluntarily left, that I did not want them to leave. I want to find and build an early warning predictive model so I can target other people before they leave. So if you think about each of these use cases and think about defining it more precisely, that's what it's all about. And then that sort of maps into the machine learning function they're going to use. In this case, with the wine, we're trying to predict a good bottle of wine. Our definition of good is in the point scales that they have, we're going to say bottles of wine that rate 90 points or above. So, and by the way, if you're interested in this, you can Google. There's a whole blog series I've been writing. I think I've written most of it, probably 2 more last sections, the deployment, the evolution. I should probably still sit down and write, but most of it's there right now if you want to sift through this. I'm not going to have time to go through this today, but I want to identify or point you to this so you can do this at a further time, because what we're going to go through today, you might think of as being a little bit intimidating because it's a notebook, you have a little bit of code. It doesn't need to be that way. The new AutoML, which I'll show you just a teaser of, but we won't go through, is what I call 6 clicks to a good model. So you say I want to create, you want to first launch it, so you click on AutoML, then you click a data source. You click you create an experiment, an auto insurance claims experiment. You select a table, a data source. You pick your target attribute, fraud found. In this case, it's labeled data, although we could do it the other way with finding unlabeled data, but AutoML is going to do that in a subsequent release. It does classification and regression techniques today. So that's what we're showing here. You select a unique identifier and you click go, and that's it. And once that starts, it starts to run the process. And under the hood, it's doing a lot of work. It's doing this automatic algorithm selection, adaptive sampling, automatic feature selection, auto model tuning. So it's going to do all the tedious steps that you would do as a data scientist. This is a lot to talk about, but not for today. I just want to kind of expose you to that. So it's going to do all those steps here for you. And when it's done, it's going to exhaustively run tens or hundreds of models behind the scenes in an intelligent way. Trying them all out, doing the adaptive sampling, the automatic feature selection, and all the things I had talked about, automatic stratified sampling, and so on. And then finally tuning the model with all the different various permutations of the models until it finds the model that works best. You can do that today, sort of more manually, and build a model, build another model, compare all the models, but we're going to systematically do that for you. So AutoML is a wonderful new technology that the whole machine learning industry is embracing. We've done it all inside the Oracle database. When you're done, you get your different model metrics, and you can pick out what you consider to be the best model. You can also look at things like prediction impacts for that model. What are the variables that have the strongest impact on things? And when you're done, you can create a notebook if you want. Just say create a notebook. Because the orchestration layer is written in Python, the first version of the notebooks that we deploy today are Python code. So you're going to generate the Python code, and I can just run this notebook, and it will rebuild that best model that you created through the AutoML methodology. And you can also just take that model that you created, this random forest, whatever model right here, and just build a SQL script or SQL notebook, or go to SQL Developer and just apply that model to new data, create a new data set, and off you go. And that's kind of what we're going to do with the wine data set. So I'll show that in a minute. The models can also be generated for deploying outside of the database through a REST API. So you can export the models and deploy them beyond the database, and then not even touch the database, just use the Oracle Machine Learning Services to do REST API calls. So you can really, imagine an application, say in your Droid or whatever, that says, here's my recommendation for the best wine for you, Charlie. So hopefully, after all of my sort of tap dancing and, killing time here, your live lab is now ready. I'm going to go see if my live lab is ready, and it is. So hopefully you've reached this point. Sadesh, Anusha, Didi, and everyone out there. Any okay, they seem to be answering the question, so that's good. So I'm gonna click on this, launch the workshop, and I've got slide form for this, and I've got the best thing is I've got the LiveLab itself here. So as this thing loads, why did that not load all the way here? When this thing refresh, so where's my LiveLab here? This thing, I just ran one before here, so let me just make sure I'm not in the my reservations. We'll launch the workshop. There it is. I don't know what happened. That was Charlie Berger operator error here. When you get to this point here, what I'm going to suggest that you also do is copy the password. So if you just click on that, it's going to copy this cryptic sort of password here. So copy that. You're going to want to remember this. Now mine's 4817. Yours is going to be something different. Try to remember that. And notice down here that Anusha and Dee Dee have done this very nice job of getting started, log into your Oracle environment. So you're going to need a single sign-on to log in. This is the LiveLab. You can use whatever name or whatever you want for that. And it's going to ask you to change the password. Now, what I'm going to do here is a trick I learned from Tom again, which is right here. Copy the password, and as I launch the console, it's going to come up and say, "Oh, you gotta log in here. What's your password?" I'm just going to say copy paste, and notice my LiveLab is 4817. So keep yours is going to be something different, obviously. I'm going to sign in. Now it says change the password, and I have a bad memory, so I'm just going to say, you know what? I can always get back to the other one. I'm going to change it right back to what it was. Okay, so that cryptic thing, I can always go back over to here, and I'm going to kind of recommend that you do that because you can always have this window open and get back to here. If you want to change it to some secret password you're going to remember, go for it. But that's not the way I've done it. Now, when you come into here, well, the thing is, where am I in this whole thing? I have all these really nice instructions down here. So I've done that. And I'm about to, once I've successfully saved my password, you'll be presented with the Oracle Cloud homepage. Check your region is check your region is set to, I never actually checked that. So mine's Canada, Southeast Toronto, so that's good. I really paid too much attention to that, but I guess I should. And I come down here and it says, click here to go to the next part of the workshop. So now if I go to the next part of the workshop, it says, okay, here's Oracle Machine Learning. We're going to pick a good wine for under $30. It's going to tell us how we're going to do it. Remember, we talked about this little methodology here before, and it's going to say we're invited to the party. I already talked about all that. And here is the data that we're going to use. It's coming from this Kaggle thing. So we're going to borrow some data from over here. You can see a little bit more about it and see a little bit more about the data and such here. We're just going to use that as a data source. And where are we? We're back over to here. And I also have already set up an always free account or the LiveLabs account that we're using today. If I expand all the steps, then it's going to show you what we just did, launch the workshop. Here it is, copy, paste, all this stuff here. And as we get down to the bottom of this thing, I guess I'm skipping over this. So I'm going to show you how you do that now live. So I am back over to here. What it's going to tell you to do is go to the autonomous database. And remember, do not come in. Some people will say, click, create a, don't do that. Don't create an autonomous database. Come into here and remember your number. Now, my number, I have a bad memory, so I'm going to go back over here and say, what was it again exactly? It was, where is it here? It's at the top of this guy right over here. Oh, there it is, LL4817. So when I come over here, I want to go to LiveLab. You can see a lot of people are doing these things lately, 4817. So there's mine. When I click on 4817, notice there's already an autonomous database setting up here for me to use. So I'm just going to click on that. This is wonderful. It's the easiest thing out there. Now, what you're also going to do is you attend this LiveLab workshop. It's going to tell you step by step what you do. Click on that. You may now proceed to the next tab. And this is going to tell you what to do. Now, there's a really nice video about how to import and run the notebooks. If I play this, it's going to show you how to do things. It's really nicely done. I'm just going to skip through this. You can enlarge this. You can kind of see what's going on there. So you may not have me as a human here, but this is all automated for you. So if you can't, stay for the entire event today, or if you have colleagues that want to try this whole thing out, it's all right here for you to try out. I guess my internet should be a little bit faster here, but here it all is. I'll walk you through the whole thing here. So you start from beginning, way up here where you log in, and so on. So I am going to be your human instructor to walk you through this now. So we are going to, let's see, go back to here, and we're going to check out the, we're looking for one that has a points greater than 90 points. We're going to verify our setup, and we're going to import the notebooks. I'm getting ahead of it over here, so I'm going to go to my PowerPoint slides just to kind of rely on my PowerPoint crutch here, I guess. So let's start the live lab. We've already launched the workshop. Hopefully you're doing that. Anusha, Sudesh, Didi, everyone, let me know if there's any questions that you guys are not already handling that. And thank you so much for all your most excellent help here. You want to click on the Live Labs to reserve your instance. You're going to launch the live lab here. And we're going to go through these different steps that are all on the left. Okay, it tells you about the workshop and provision and loading the data and so on, depending on if you have an always free account, or the best way to do most of this live lab is to go through the green button. The green button does not allow you to go directly into the OAC stuff. That's the downside of it, but you may want to come back and do that as a second pass. So you want to run the machine learning notebook. You want to register the model to run it in the Oracle Analytics Cloud. You're going to visualize the results at the end, and we're getting thirsty, so let's keep going here. So when you go back to the instructions, it's going to show you to download this this instance right here. So I'm going to try and do that now. I think as I go back to here, it's going to at a certain point say, okay, go to the tools, and it's going to say, look at the administrative panel here. And the administrative panel is going to come in as admin. And if I remember this correctly, and I think it's all documented right in here somewhere, I think it also tells you that the password for admin in these live labs is this guy right here. It's welcome one. So it's WEL, all caps, then COME. That's 2 underscores, not 1. We try to make it tricky for you. It's 2 underscores. You want to come in here as admin, and you want to log in as admin. And I'm just going to see if I can paste that guy in there and sign in. So that's capital WEL, capital W, capital W, capital E, capital L, and then underscore 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's what it was. So now I come in here. The administrator is already set up. We don't have to go through any of that. Now the Live Labs green button is really nice because this guy's already been created. Ordinarily, I would go in here and say create another user. I don't have to do that. So we're going to say cancel that. I'm going to click on this user right here, and I'm just going to say, get my little window over here. I'm going to say, okay, log in. And what is my login is OML user. And then I think my password for this guy, if I remember it correctly, and I did not change it, is also welcome 1, 2, 3, 4 with the 2 underscores and the capital. It's for the first 3 ones there. So we're going to come back into here and log in. Thusly, there we go. And so now we've made it into the autonomous database in about seconds here. Well, I'll probably take a little longer than that, but it is a live lab, so I'm not trying to go too fast for everyone here. Here's the AutoML. Okay, here is the notebooks, the AutoML, the models, a bunch of different things. We're not going to cover all this right now. You have projects and different types of users up here. I think I can get smaller again. There we go. And you have projects and workspaces. We can get into all that, but it's been sort of set up for you. I do want to show you briefly the examples, because the examples are just really good to have. So there's a bunch of examples. Because of alphabetically OML for Pi, notebooks appear before the OML for SQL one. So if you're into the SQL part, go down here. And if you want to see, say, classification, what I could do, I'll just do this for the fun of it. I'll take that one. I'll say create a notebook. I'll give it OML for SQL classification. Oh, there it is right there, classification. And I'll give this 2. And so here it is. I will just create that. And now if I go back to my notebooks over here, there's a notebook. And if I click on that, it's going to open up and I can just run this notebook. So there's 54 of these things. Have a go at all of those things. They're very straightforward, and they're meant to be instructive. Okay. So try them out. They're basically pretty easy to use. You'll see a lot of similarities as you kind of go through them, and you'll notice a lot of the little sort of behaviors here that you get for the little gear. You'll have your little interpreter bindings. That's the SQL or the Python or whatever connections here. and you'll get, oftentimes I put a little pretty picture up here at the top, which is just, I guess, still loading, but we're gonna go down here, we're gonna build a model. It's gonna look similar to what we're gonna do before. There's where I specify what type of model, create model 2, and then as I go down here, I build a bunch of different models. I leave my results in the database, and they're all gonna be kind of similar to this after a while. So we're gonna come back over here, and I'm gonna go back to the notebooks, but we have this one that we have for us to use, which is down here somewhere. Where do I have our notebook? It's somewhere in here. It will say, here it is, down in, you want to, she shows it right here, how to pick this notebook. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to download into my downloads file. This is the notebook that we ship with you for you to use. So the instructions are going to tell me to come over here and import that. So I'm going to go down to here, picking a good wine right here. I'll import that. And just like the other one, but this is the one we want you to use for the hands-on lab, we're going to have this whole notebook where Sudesh, Devani, and I have done a lot of work in setting this all up for you. And we're going to open it up. So this will show you all the steps that we go through. I'm going to set up this to just run, although it's already run. I think I ran it. Well, this is the one I loaded in my own environment, which I have over here for a backup, just in case anything went bad. I have, if that's, there it is. There's my own environment over here where I've already run it. I just want to show some of these things, like when I do something like when I build a model down here, I can build the model in, well, it took 8 minutes down here to build the model. So just want to show you that some of the stuff will take a little bit longer than other things. Most of it's pretty fast, but I'm going to suggest that you take a look at this. There's the whole notebook. It's already been run, so you can kind of just see what's going on here, but I'm going to suggest that we make sure our interpreter is set up. If you don't have these things set up, it will not work properly. You have a lot of little gears over here that say, run all the paragraphs below, show the title, move this paragraph up or down. There's all sort of notebook behavior over here. You can download or export the notebook, a lot of cool things. I'm going to say, run all the paragraphs, because all the work's been done. And I'll show you what we did do, so you don't like have it all done too much for you. But I'm just going to start this thing running, and we'll see where it's going. So you can do markdown language over here. Notice I just have this. I have markdown language. I say something here. When I run it, then I can hide the editor, and it all shows right here. If I go down a little bit further, I have the methodology of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explore the data, define a target attribute as greater than 90 points or less than 90 points. I'm going to try and find the key attributes that most influence whether that's a good or a bad bottle of wine. I'm going to then build a model. Sometimes I build many models, but in this case, I think we just said, let's build one good model. And rather than take, if it takes 8 minutes to build one model, we don't want to have you sitting here for half an hour. There's the business problem based on previous wine reviews and data about price, province, and variety, and so on. Try to predict a good bottle of wine. Here's the data. This is some Kaggle data. So woodsy, balsamic aromas, and there's a lot going on here. There's aromas again, aromatic, emanate, a lot of words over here. I have the designation of what type of wine that is, what the country is. There's the ID of the wine. There's the points that have actually been rated, by somebody that rated these things. Now, notice in the notebooks, this is going to, when I say select star from this table that we've preloaded for you, the 130,000 records that include all this text, we're only going to show you the top 1,000. So if I want to change this thing and say, add to this thing, sample 10, and do that, it would, well, I didn't type that right, sample 10, then that would be a 10% sample of here. Okay, I'm not quite right. It's sample 10 like that, actually. So I can do the sample function. I'm not going to do that right now because the rest of the notebook's running, but you have to be a little careful of how much you're showing here, because it is the notebooks are just going to by default take the top 1,000 records. So just be a little cognizant of that. There's some other data over here, the winery, the variety, the taster. Now there's a little bit of the story here to cut to the chase. And I got this from another person, Francesco Tissot, formerly from Written and Mead, but he tells the story about there's a person from England who rated all the English wines top shelf, which biases the data, but you discover that later on in another part of another demo, actually. But we have all the data, and we're going to create a table out of that data, but we're going to create a table with this bin column. So we're going to bin that the wine points 87, 85, whatever. We're going to bin that into greater than 90 points or less than 90 points using a threshold here. Greater than 90 is going to be less than 90 is going to be less than 90 points. So we're going to do that. It took us, 13 seconds to do that, to populate that. So we're doing all this processing inside the database. And now I have the points, but I also have another column down here at the end. Is it greater than? So that's going to become our target field. Is it greater than or less than 90 points? Now we also have to eliminate the points because that's something we want to get rid of. When we do that, we also divide the wine into a training and testing. Why? Because that's how we know if we've built a good model or not. We have a holdout sample, so we're going to have a 60% split here. We're going to take 60% of the wine right here, 60% with a seed, so I can repeat that over and over again and get the same results. And then I'm going to do a minus function where the remaining part is my holdout sample. I have to change the data types to CLOB, which actually takes 11 seconds to do that, because under the hood, we're going to use Oracle text. So the varchar, I want to make sure that it's CLOB, because that's the way we're best able to handle the unstructured data there. I want to show the data, make sure I'm kind of showing what I have here. So I show that. I'm changing the data to the CLOB type here for the training and the test. I show the metadata here. And then I am changing the distribution, the thing to CLOB again. This looks like a little repetitive here. But then you have to do it for the training, you have to do it for the test. Now I show the distribution of the points, and notice these are the guys that are all greater than 90 points. They're over there on the right-hand side over here. And I also display the wines by country. So I've done this. I can also change this over here to a pie chart if I want to change. I guess it's still run down below. So that's going to be a delayed response. As I go through here, somewhere down here, you can see that it's started to, this is where it's building the attribute importance model. So it's chugging through all the unstructured data, the structured data, the whole thing it's chugging through right now. So that's why I was going to suggest that you see what it's doing, press go, and kind of be a little patient as it grinds through a lot of data and does a lot of tricks here. So we're going to do a few graphs here. We've done these things. When I get it back its attention, I can more respond, with more active response, change that to graph types, to different kind of graph types there. I've done a few other different graphs over here, and with a little drop-down capabilities, I can say, oh no, these are the German wines, that will update right on the fly. I think we're still waiting for it to get the notebook's attention after the other steps it's being asked to do down there. But once it's all done, you can just toggle these things back and forth, compare this and that. It's a kind of a fun thing to play around with. We're going to create the new table, but without the points attribute. Remember, we wanted to remove the points attribute. So now we want to display that, and there is no points attribute. There's just the greater than or less than points. So we don't have it circular. Like if it's 95 points, it's a greater than 90 point bottle of wine. That doesn't make much sense. In the data preparation, this is where a lot of the work happens. Devani, I think, did most of the work on this one, and Sudesh. What I like about this is we've used it in other ones. It's a little bit of code here that you can just kind of copy and paste this and use the text mining processes here just by copying and pasting this and changing it where it's appropriate. So just copy, paste, edit as you need to. But we have to drop the existing Lexer, then we have to create the Lexer, drop the existing stop words list just for repeatability, and create it, and so on. So these are things where we're using Oracle text. We have a text policy, and so that is all the pre-processing that you do to build the to have the text be able to be ingested. In the drag and drop Oracle Data Miner GUI, of course, we do all that sort of with one click, and we will do that in the AutoML going forward. But right now, in the notebooks, you will need to kind of pay attention to that to do all that. Once we've built our attribute importance model, which took 1 minute and 57 seconds, we have all the variables in their importance. And notice, guess what? Price is the #1 most important thing by a long shot, right? But beyond that, the province that it comes from, the variety of the wine is important, the description. So these are the things. It says palate, wines, aroma. These are the words that are useful, okay? And then it goes on and on and on with the other different variables. So we're going to come back in later on. I think I showed a little bit over here if this thing's still working. We're going to read. This is my own instance we'll come back to. We're going to use some of those words, the tokens is what we call them, to show that as part of the model as well. So we're going to have some fun with that. So I just want to give you a teaser for that, to stay tuned. It keeps on getting kind of better and more exciting. So the attribute importance here that are showing attributes of a good wine, attributes of a bad wine. These are all those words that we were seeing from over here, okay? the I-axis, this is now DM dollar VA good wine. And over here, eventually going to come over here, DM dollar VA, this guy right here, DM dollar VA good wine. This is what we are using to populate these various different dashboards. So we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that's what we've done there. Going a little bit further. Now we're going to build the models for the actual, like, which is a good model to predict a good bottle of wine or not. So as I showed you before, here's the algorithm support vector machines. We're using the text policy that we created above the mic with the stop words list, the Alexa, the languages, all those different things that we may have done. Oracle Text has a lot of capabilities. We're bringing that in as what we'd call a bag of words. It's not natural language processing. I don't know, man bit dog or dog bit man. I don't really know. They're just, 3 words that maybe require a lawyer. So I do that here. I have my policy. I bring in a vector of words. Same thing if I had items in a transactional data. I can do a create model too. The name of the model is to be the wine classification model. I think in advance, I just decided we're going to use an SVM. It usually would work well. We could use a neural network, whatever. We just kind of arbitrarily kept it simple and said we're going to do 1. So we built our model. The model took only 1 minute and 13 seconds. So we've got a good environment going on here. Let me scroll back down to where I was. And then once I've built the model, 1 minute and 13 seconds, then I can evaluate the model, and it takes 29 seconds or so to evaluate the model. So I take that holdout sample and I test on the wine test data here, and then now I calculate using the functions to generate a lift chart. I create a lift chart, a table, and then I graph it here with the Zeppelin graphing capabilities. These are the coefficients from the wine that I'm showing you before, the DM dollar VL. These are the things I'm going to show you over here a little later on, right here. I think these are the coefficients, DM dollar VL right here, that are the coefficients for good wines and bad wines. So we'll come back to show you a little more what we can do there. And as I go on down here, it's going to model deployment. Let's now use this model to start making some predictions. So what are all the wines that are greater than, that are less than, these are the wines I don't want to buy. Now, we didn't bother putting a lot of data around them because we just, we maybe wanted to add in the names of the wine or add some more things in here. We'd change that script to do that if we wanted to. But there's all the bad wines. Here's all the good wines. I can sort those in the probability of them being a good wine. I can say, let's create a join table that takes that and joins in the rest of the data over there. So again, the less than 90 point wines over here. And the Zeppelin notebooks have a little bit of a sort of interactivity. They're very limited. But you can do like single record score, and you can do a lot of different kind of tricks. And some of the examples we show you how to do these things. And finally, we say, after we've said, let's pick out the best wines, and I could sort these guys based on probability, descending or ascending here. But descending, I guess, is what I want to do. And so there's all the best wines. Well, this is the best one, but what's the cost is an algorithmic kind of cost there. It's not the cost of the wine. Where is the cost of the wine? Do we even show this thing here? So somewhere on here, I guess we forgot to show the price of the wine in here. I guess we should have done that too. Yeah. But if we go down here, we finally show the wines that are less than just $15. We're really trying to get cheap here, but are greater than 90 points. We can see them by United States, Argentina, Chile, and there's a lot of information that we've generated here with predictions, detailed reasons why we make those predictions. All of this is part of what we do using this wine class supported vector machine model. But we're going to say, hey, this tool did what it does well, but there are other tools that are around that also can help here. And Oracle Analytics Cloud is a great one for that. So we're going to take our table that we've made over here of all of our predictions, create a table, wine predictions for viewing with Oracle Analytics Cloud. So we're going to say, take all that data that we're scoring, and let's order it here and see which are the best wines. There they all are. But let's leave that data in the database now with the prediction details, which is something that says the reasons why, okay, because the price is $365 and so on. So these are the reasons why. And if you scroll through here, for each prediction, we give sometimes, I think I said it, a maximum of 8, I think, possible reasons. You do 2, 3, 5, 8. That's up to you. And the prediction details, how many prediction details you want to show. We see all the different reasons. We see the probability. We see the price. But $150, who wants to spend that for a bottle of wine? We're just going to this party. We hardly know these people. We just want to show up with a good, what seems to be a good bottle of wine that looks good, and we only paid $12 for it or something like that, right? So congratulations, you've successfully built and applied an Oracle machine learning model inside the database. Celebrate with a fine glass of wine or whatever beverage you prefer. But we're going to go further. We could do this in Application Express, do certain cool things. But for today's session, in this hands-on lab, if you're following the instructions, which are back here, remember, if we had all these, we had all the instructions here, run the notebook, this is what we just did. I stepped you through all this sort of live because we have the benefit of a human right here, and it kind of explains everything that you're doing to the very end where you're going to now, there's the text mining processes of what we've done. Here's the attribute importance that we ran live. So all of this is available for you to kind of go through here a little bit more slowly. We evaluated the model. We got our lift chart. It's all here for you. And then what we're going to do beyond this is go a little bit further. And I think the one that I'm in right now is the live lab for the green button. And in the green button, I think we open the workshops in the next. Okay, so this part over here, what I want to do is go now to the back over here, because that's now walking you through what we can walk you through in the green button version of this. If you continue on with your own free account, you can now, after you've run and built the models as we're showing right here, you can also continue on. I'm going to show you this in my environment. You can provision an Oracle Analytics Cloud, and I'll walk you through how to set this up. There's a little Nusha has this set up with even a little video here. So you can walk through how to do all this, how to set up the provision an Oracle Analytics Cloud. And she walks you through all the highlights of what we do here. You set this up. I have already done some of this, so I'm not going to walk you through all of this. In the live lab, you can spend a little bit more time than I'm rushing through with this YouTube video recording. This will be posted later on as a YouTube video. So you're going to come through here. You're also going to register a model, register a machine learning model. I'll show you how we do that. You're going to add the data sets into your setup here. So we're going to try and follow. Let's just go through here. We provision the instance. Let's watch what it says here. Just like the other one, we're going to set up our instance good wine demo. This is something you're going to set up. You're going to create an instance. You're going to use this lab uses OAC wine as the instance name. And you are going to, let's see, follow the instructions here. You're going to download the autonomous database wallet, which allows you to establish a connection. So just again, follow the instructions here. It's all laid out for you. I've already done some of this, so I'm going to skip ahead in a minute here. So I've downloaded the wallet. Now that I have a wallet, I can establish a connection between OAC and the autonomous database. So that's what we do here. Go down a little bit further. I set this up. I have my OAC wine analytics, Oracle Analytics Cloud instance here. And then I have set this up, and now I have a connection to the database I just had. So there's the autonomous database I just created. If you follow this along live, I've already got this set up, so I'm just showing you the instructions, but I've already done this for my own instance. You come into here, you set this up as OML user, you have the password is what I think we're using, WEL, all caps, OME __1234, and you follow this. Now here's the part where it gets kind of interesting. I can register models. Here's the good wine. Here's the model we just created, the wine class support vector machine model. You can go and register that model, say register, and then you can set that model up with a data flow, and we get the other data here, and we walk through and we set, here's the users, here's the data flow with the data set, wine reviews 130 text, and we're going to set up add that data set. We're going to walk through this. Actually, this stuff, I'm gonna just walk you through it now and kind of point to it because I've already done this on mine. Once you bring that in, you can now set up a flow here. And let's go, I'll walk through the details here. Somewhere down here, she's going to show you how you set up the scoring. I guess we'll kind of skip over that here. But let's go into my Oracle Analytics Cloud instance, which is back over here. Don't save because I already have all this done. So now over here, what you've done is you've set up your connections, and one of the things that was showing in there is how you can register ML models. Now I have several instances here, so I'm going to go to my own one right here and show you that I have a bunch of different models that were here. And if I go into just say search this, I have wine models. There's all the models. Now this model right here is the model I just did before. I have input columns, I have output columns, I have parameters, and I can register. I'm not going to register it again because I already have that. Now, I also can set up data flows over here that allow me to, what is it right here? Import project. I can import a project flow. I can set up a project flow. I am going to kind of skip over that because that's going to take a little bit more time, and it's documented in the, here it is right here. I can show you what I've already done. There's the wine reviews data. I'm going to apply the model, which model, the model that I just brought in there that support vector machine model. And then I am going to save the data and leave that in the database. So this little flow, I'll let you just kind of read along and follow that. It's all set up very nicely for you. And once you do that, you can come back over here to, I'm not going to save that because I haven't done anything interesting here yet. Once I've got that data flow, or I don't even have to do the data flow, right? Because I've already built the predictions inside the database, but I can, if I want to, come back to OAC and just keep on scoring that model, right? I can do things like that because it's all kind of there now. This guy right here is using the mapping capabilities. Remember, we had the country of origin for all the different wine. And when this thing finishes loading up here, I think I want to clear all filters here, predictions, select all, country all, and variety all. So this guy right here, somewhere I was doing this, I think it's one of the other tabs that I did it over here. I think what I had over here was I said description. I put a global filter in here sort of stupidly as I look through this thing. One of these global filters here is affecting the other guys over there, I believe is what's going on, because I should see everything on that other first tab, but I'm going to kind of power through this right now. I should see, oh, is it still loading? Maybe what's going on here? I should see all of my wines by country, and there's a carryover for where I was before. So I should see all my different wines with the price, the points, the raw data without necessarily any prediction probabilities. And I see it by country. This guy's still sort of loading here, so it's going to take a little while to finish this loading. But it's going to show me all that, and I can see kind of visually where are all these wines. And I'm going to skip over here to see the price points by variety. So these are the top 100 best wines where they show for the words. So this is the, let's see, which am I looking at here? This is the price points by variety. This guy, pick a variety. So got so many graphs here. Let's see, prediction is, let's just take a look at the 90 points and above one. So that's going to now update and see just these wines here. This is price by region, and this over here is price by by price. Okay, so I can show this in different ways. Obviously, I think someone that's better at OAC can probably do a better job at this than I can in showing all these different points. But I'm just going to show you a little bit of what you can do over here. And I can now go into this, pick a bottle of wine by price by country. So the most expensive wines are coming over here from Switzerland and England. I told you there's a little twist to the story in England. There is Germany, France, and so on. So these are the different prices. These are the price by country, Ukraine, Yugoslavia, these different places, but also the predicted probability. So the darker the line, the better the probability is that it's going to be a good greater than 90 bottle of wine using, let's see, I can pick a filter over here and say just a Cabernet, things like that, Cabernet and Cabernet blend, and see how this all updates by the different countries. So OAC has some great capabilities to say, well, what's the probability of a good bottle of wine if it's from France or Portugal and I'm paying less than $20? I have a pretty good chance. But if it's from Spain, it's not going to be. It's probably for all the wines in Spain. This is the aggregated values. It's going to be there's a wider range there, but I can find a whole collection of wines that are pretty cheap for a good probability if I want to do that. So there are different tools and techniques. Here are the attributes for a good wine. This is just the attribute importance that I showed you before. when we're going through this. So this is the Oracle machine learning model right over here. It's showing me the attribute importance value and the attribute subname. The subname being like fresh, sweet. The attribute name is review, and these are the subnames that were identified out of that for showing whether it's a very factors that are related to it being a good bottle of wine or not. And some of the things I've done here for these filters is to set up, and you can do these filters. I've set up some filters where I say, show me the top values, or I could say all the values that are, these are all the positive values over here. If I want to say, what are the values for the negative ones? Okay, well, it's actually, that's a different kind of thing over here. Let's say if I do this. So I can do, if I did that right, did I do that the right way? I can kind of put filters in here and kind of say, what are the factors associated with good and bad wines and so on. That's actually more of what I was trying to do over here, where I had the prediction as to whether or not it's a good bottle of wine, which is going to be all the guys over here, attributes of greater than 90 points. These are the coefficients from the support vector machine model that we did. So when I say this over here and I say, what are the attributes for that? I can pick the target value is greater than 90 points. I can pick maybe just certain countries. I want to see just the ones from Argentina and see what they say about that. And this will update and give me that using those filters. So go through that. There's a lot of fun things. I'm just going to kind of wrap this up a little bit by going to the very end here. If I didn't break too many of these different things over here, I'm going to say, well, I want to say, notice these are the things I was showing before where I picked some, I want to clear out some of these filters now. Clear filter selections, clear filter selections, price is going to be all of them. And I'll leave this guy as, well, let's see, let's initially clear filter selection. So we got to, it's getting to the end of the hour here or whatever. We got to pick a good bottle of wine. And so I could look at this, the different wines by the price, by the probability. I could kind of sort this a little bit. I want to say the price, I want to kind of say, well, I'm looking for one that's maybe, well, 0, 10, and up to there. I don't want to pay anything more than that, right? So up to $30 is what we're going to say here. So it's updated all these graphs and charts over here based on that. And so it narrows my list of things down that I might want to choose here. Oh, I got to get a, did I do that right? Because I have prediction, click on too many things. Let me kind of go back and just clear all these guys for the moment. I'm trying to put too many filters on here. So over here, I can just kind of say, well, let me take the prediction probability and let's say based on price, if I go over to here, I can say, well, let's make the cheapest price wine. Let's take the probability and let's go through this and try to find a good bottle of wine. So it's updating this now. My point is all the predictions and the probabilities of these and the descriptions that we're showing, it's all done in the Converge database. The math for the predictive models done inside the Converge database. And it allows me to say, well, here's the ones that are, I guess I say they sort the other way now. I should have sorted this way in the beginning. So there's an $18 bottle of wine, 83% probability. There's a $9 bottle of wine, and I can filter these things up here. I can sort them over here. Actually, if I'm going out to try and get a good bottle of wine, personally, I might say, let's just use one of these guys down here that are, a fairly inexpensive bottle of wine with a fairly good probability prediction here. So that gives you a little bit of a feel for how to pick a good bottle of wine. Let's pick this guy right here for only $9. That looks great to me. A far better wine than previous vintage. This big bit. So these words were used to make the prediction way back here in our Oracle, where is it, machine learning, when we did all these models. And that's kind of it. I hope all of you are able to follow along. I know this is going through kind of fast, but I encourage you to follow through with this. I'm going to go back to the hands-on lab instructions that I have in PowerPoint form to see if there's anything I missed here. So we said, let's review our wine selection problem. We had the business problem. We got rid of the points column and we turned that into greater than or less than. We used the wine reviews. We were targeting for greater than 90 points. We recoded the points attribute into greater than or less than 90 points. We created our train and test data set. We changed the wine reviews to CLOB data type for unstructured data type for pre-processing Oracle text. We defined all of our text mining settings. We did the attribute importance, but including the unstructured data. So we found all of the words that are most correlated with that. And of course, price is the number one driver, as it oftentimes is. We built a random forest in this case. I guess in the other one, I think I switched it over to a support vector machine. I guess I've done it several different ways. It's very easy to do. Now I've built a very good predictive model here, and looks like I'm actually doing the support vector machine back here. So I guess the screenshot was from an earlier version or something of this, as I think about that. There's the coefficients for the model. So in OAC, I took these coefficients. I took the positive and the negative coefficients. For positive correlating to the better wine and negatively correlating to the better wine. It's probably much more visualized, better visualized in OAC that way than what I'm showing here. Here are all my prediction probabilities, but remember, I want to show it in OAC because I can have that user have a lot better experience sifting through OAC to find that good bottle of wine. Some other output results that I showed you before. Congratulations, there's your good bottle of wine, but wait, there's more. We're going to go over to OAC. I'm just kind of recapping what you're hopefully doing successfully right now. And give us any feedback. If you say this was too fast or this broke or something happened or you have some questions, let us know. We're always trying to make these things better. There's where we register the model. I showed you how to do the model registering. There's where you pick a model and set it up for a flow. There's the flow. Now I can just run this thing right now and save this and run it in OAC. The insights are all left inside the database. So now there's the map I was looking for. I don't know what I clicked on something over here with my interactive filters and messed that up somehow, but that's the way it should look. And then I am now trying to do some more interactive filters. The ones that top permeate across all the different canvases. So that's where I tend to screw up a little bit, is forgetting that I did something on another canvas. These are the coefficients for the good and bad wine. So we're using that DM $BL wine. That's the actual model object for the support vector machine model that we're using here, including we're showing here the unstructured data just because it's interesting to see as a tag cloud. And that's it. Hopefully you picked a good bottle of wine. I think you'd pick your bottle of wine. In this case, we picked out the Merlot ID 1184 for $15. I think it's what we picked out for the price. It packs a delicious punch, blah, blah, blah. That's the one we'll take to our party. It's a great visualization of those wine reviews. There are many, many links and resources out there. You can get access to presentations, YouTube videos, other live labs, documentation, Ask Tom series, a whole slew of great presentations there. And with that, I would like to also invite you to attend the upcoming TechCast days. I'm a co-founder of this Analytics and Data Oracle user community where we have a lot of very passionate people that try to share their talents and get other people to share their novel and interesting use cases. And in May, we're going to do May 11, 12, and 13, we're going to do 3 days of a hands-on lab. You're welcome to join that. It's going to be very similar to what we're doing here, but we'll do, for the machine learning, we'll do a one on Python. Part 2 is the Python one. The first one that I'll be doing is finding fraud, and I'll do that with a few other colleagues from partners and experts out, Oracle Aces, people like that. With that, thank you very much for attending this. Thank you for your patience. I hope that Sudesh and Didi and Anusha have all been answering all your questions. It looks like they have been, so I'm going to hope that you are continuing on with your live lab, and I am going to stop this session now. So thank you very, very much, and good luck.